Welcome to another bonus edition of Upon Further Review.
Upon further review,
And in this edition, we'll be talking about the Week 7 matchup between the New Orleans Saints and the Detroit Lions. You can catch this game on October 19th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and that'll be aired on your local Fox affiliates. And heading into this game, the New Orleans Saints are 2-3, and the Detroit Lions are 4-2. The Saints started off the season with a pair of losses, first losing in Atlanta to the Falcons by a field goal in overtime, and then they lost in Cleveland by just 2 points. Two heartbreaking losses for Saints fans. They then hosted the Vikings and they picked up their first victory of the season, but then they went to Dallas and they got beat up on by the Cowboys. Then in Week 5, they hosted the Buccaneers and they picked up the win. It was a tough one though, as they beat them in overtime with that touchdown by Kyrie Robinson. And then they had the bye week last week. So now they go to Detroit to face the toughest defense in all of football. And the Lions started off by hosting the Giants, and they beat New York in Detroit. Then they went to Carolina, and they lost pretty bad to the Panthers. But then they picked up a big win at home against the Packers, and then they went to New York, and they beat the Jets. They then hosted Buffalo, and they lost by a field goal. A heartbreaker is their kicker. He missed 3 field goals. He was fired after the game. See you later, Alex Henry. And then the Lions went to Minnesota, and they picked up a defensive battle in Minnesota, beating the Vikings 17-3. And so now they host the Saints. And it's been a disappointing season for the Saints. And even the Lions, it's been an interesting season. They're 4-2, which is awesome, but they've been having some struggles with their running game and with some injuries as well. It's going into this game. We will not see Megatron. Reggie Bush is a big question mark. Maybe, maybe not. Jimmy Graham, the early reports were saying that there's no way Jimmy Graham's going to play. Now we're starting to get some reports saying, hey, maybe he will play. So that remains a question. We won't know until game time if we're going to see Jimmy Graham or not. I personally don't think it really makes a difference, even though Jimmy Graham is arguably one of the best tight ends, if not the best tight end in football. Of course, that is an argument because there's a lot of talent at that position, but he is definitely one of the more proficient scoring tight ends throughout his career, although he has been struggling so far this year. Actually, if you want to look inside the numbers and see where's Jimmy Graham at, he is the top, receiver. Even though he's not a receiver for the Saints, he has the most reception yards with 376 and 3 touchdowns on the year. So he actually is, leading the Saints anyway when it comes to receiving yards. But by contrast, if we look over at Detroit, Golden Tate has 495 receiving yards to lead the Lions. Of course, that's kind of a, amalgamation being that Calvin Johnson has been banged up, even though Golden Tate, he's a number one on a lot of teams. And Detroit is pretty stacked with their talent if they're healthy, for sure. Of course, they have been struggling with their running game, but Joique Bell has been coming on. He did have a good game. Last week he picked up 74 on the ground. He also had pretty decent performance catching the ball as well. But they need to have more production out of their running game for sure, although their defense is one of the best defenses in all of football. But let's look inside these numbers and see how they bear out. For the Saints, they're number 2 in the NFL when it comes to passing yards per game. So Drew Brees is putting up his numbers, and the Lions are 14th. So the Lions have been struggling, even though they are, decent when it comes to passing the ball, but these are just the numbers as they are. When it comes to passing defense, though, the Saints are 25th in passing defense. So they can put up the yards through the air, but they cannot stop teams from getting yards. And when it comes to defense against the pass, Detroit is number 1. The number 1 passing defense in the NFL. So it's an interesting matchup there. You got the number 2 passing attack against the number 1 passing defense. And I think you got to give the advantage to the Lions because they're pretty evenly matched up. They should be able to, right there, even things out in terms of that strong passing attack of the Saints and Drew Brees versus the excellent passing defense of Detroit. And they're going to put a lot of pressure on them. But then when you look at the Lions' offensive passing attack versus the Saints, there's a clear advantage for the Lions that they should be able to put up some big numbers against that Saints defense that struggles to stop the pass. So advantage Lions when it comes to the passing game. And then we look at the running attacks of both teams, and when it comes to running offense per game, yards that they've gained, the Saints are number 8 in the NFL, and the Lions are 29th. So the Saints are pretty good at run the ball, even though Mark Ingram has been banged up. He's going to be coming back soon, though, and Kyrie, though, has been doing a great job in his stead, and so is Pierre Thomas. The Lions, Reggie Bush has been banged up, but even when he was healthy, he wasn't doing really anything on the ground. They are getting very little production. Of course, Joique Bell showed some signs, and we'll see if he can pick up the production moving forward. He is capable. They just got to give him the ball more and stop giving it to Reggie, even though they have shifted more towards Bell in the last few weeks as Bush has been banged up, obviously. And then we look at running defense, and the Saints are 16th against the run, and the Lions are number 2 against the run. So again, I'm going to have to give the advantage to Detroit because they should be able to shut down the Saints' running attack. Of course, the Lions don't really have much of a running attack to speak of, but the Saints aren't really that great at running defense. So the Lions should be able to get something going on the ground. Of course, that should be hopefully helped out by their passing game. If they can kind of mix it up, they should have some success against the Saints because the Saints' defense really isn't that good. And we look at the points for and against. The Saints are 17th in the NFL when it comes to points scored. The Lions are 25th, so they both struggle to score. Uncharacteristic of both teams is they're both known to have high-powered passing attacks that get into the end zone, but not so much this year. And a lot of that has to do with the struggles on the ground for both teams, more so for the Lions. The Saints have been actually putting more of an emphasis on the run, which is kind of a new thing for them. But then it's really the defense, though. That's what it comes down to. That's where their offensive struggles are somewhat representative of their defensive struggles, at least for New Orleans, because their defense is 28th in the NFL when it comes to points allowed. So they're playing from behind, and that's hurting their offenses. It's making them very predictable. Whereas Detroit, they are number 1 in the NFL when it comes to points allowed per game. So again, the Lions have the advantage right there, without a doubt. Their defense is phenomenal. Number 1 against the pass, number 2 against the run, number 1 in points allowed. That defense is just lights out. Even with the entry of Tulloch, they're still playing really strong. They are loaded up and down their roster defensively. They're really strong in the trenches. They've got a great linebacking core and a great secondary. The Lions just are a special defense, and they can go far with that defense. The one thing that's really hurting them is their lack of a running game. But if they can get things going on the ground, then that should open up the passing attack as well. And they've got the defense that will keep them competitive in each and every single game. And I think the Lions will win this one. The Saints have been abysmal on the road this year. They have yet to win a road game, as both of their wins came at home to inferior teams. I mean, they beat the Vikings at home, and then they barely survived the Buccaneers at home. Whereas the Lions, although they did lose that game to Buffalo a couple weeks back at home, otherwise they've been just unstoppable this year, especially from a defensive standpoint. The only team that really put up points against them was the Panthers back in week 2, and that was, Cam Newton with his ability to, run and pass. But here maybe Drew Brees makes things interesting. But I think it's more likely the Lions shut down the Saints, similar to how the Cowboys shut down the Saints. And even I'll be surprised to see the Saints put up double digits against the Lions defense, even though the Saints have historically been one of the top offenses, and Drew Brees is one of the top quarterbacks. I mean, in my opinion, he's a Hall of Famer. Still, I think Detroit, the way they're playing defense this year, they will shut them down, and they're going to hold them to a very low score. As long as they can get a few points on the scoreboard, they should win. They really, to beat the Saints, you want to make sure you get 20 up on the scoreboard. But with that defense, they might even win this one like 14-9 or something. Said it could be a close game. It could be within a possession. Maybe the Lions end up, finally getting things going on their offense and look back like they did in Week 1 against the Giants, where they were hitting on all cylinders. That was the only game where Stafford threw for over 300, was back against the Giants in Week 1. Maybe they have a game like that against the Saints, and they win by double digits. But otherwise, it'll probably be another game where it's a grinder, with the defense just playing phenomenal and keeping it a low-scoring game. But they might, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see Stafford get things going against the Saints passing defense that is 25th. And then, maybe they get their running game going too against the mediocre running defense of the Saints. And they should be able to put up some points. So I think the Lions win this one without a doubt. No question in my mind is the Detroit Lions will be victorious in this game. I said, though, anything can happen. And, hey, the Saints are kind of a surprise with how bad they've been playing. It's just not their year this year. It happens. And it's just how it is. Of course, maybe they turn it around. You never know. The crazier things have happened. It's still early in the season, so that is possible. But as for this game, I see Detroit winning all the way. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Interested to hear your opinions. And if you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit the like button. How else will we know you enjoyed the show if you do not hit the like button? And if you want more of this content, make sure to subscribe as we bring you upon further reviews and recaps for each and every single game, each and every single week, all the way through the season and the playoffs, all the way to the Super Bowl. We're also bringing you a weekly show, The Wedge, where we do our quick picks, our fantasy fortune, fantasy football picks, our weekly rewind of the week that was, and we do the Thursday night upon further review on that show as well. So keep an eye out for that. We try to get up there as early as Tuesday. Sometimes Wednesday's usually the day you'll find that up. But sometimes we're running late and we get it up on Thursday. But we definitely, at the very latest, will have that up before the Thursday night game each and every week for sure. So keep an eye out for that. We're also covering the baseball playoffs. It's now down to the World Series. We covered the wild card, the division series, the championship series, and now the World Series down to 2 teams, the Giants and the Royals. Very excited for that. That's starting up next week, and you can catch our coverage of the baseball playoffs so far and through the World Series. We're also covering some college football as well, so make sure to keep out an eye for all of those and an ear. And we greatly appreciate you listening. Thank you so very much. I hope you're having a good day and have a great weekend and enjoy all of the sports.